It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, Mzansi, welcome back. Your Feel Good Breakfast Show right here on Freedom Day as we celebrate now. 2022 marks 28 years since the dawn of democracy in 1994 and fast approaching the 3-decade milestone of the country's constitutional democracy. Now, Iziko Museums of South Africa is commemorating Freedom Day with free entry to selected museums. Yes, enough to celebrate. And that's happening across the city of Cape Town, including the National Museum, Slave Lodge, National Gallery, and Boekap Museums. Now, we are joined today by a beautiful soul. Her name is Melody Kleinsmith. She's the Marketing and Communications Manager and Ambassador for Iziko Museums. So let us give her a welcome to the show. How are you doing, Melody?
Good morning, and thank you very much. I'm doing very well, thank you.
And happy Freedom Day as well.
Yes. Happy Freedom Day to you and all the viewers.
Look, this is an incredible opportunity. Obviously, in museums are things that we maybe visited quite a bit in our youth. Today, a lot of information, however, seems to be online, so the accessibility to some of that information is available just at the click of a finger. Why, though, is it still then important to go and view and go visit a museum? I mean, if we've got all this access and information, what's really the point of it all?
Well, I think as human beings, we have a desire to connect, not just online, but physically, in person, and to have tangible experiences. And through a museum visit, individuals have the opportunity to immerse themselves in our history, in our art, in our culture, and the stories and legacies that we haven't engaged with online in that way.
Yeah, I think it's so true because, I mean, just hearing you say that, one of the words that stands out for me is experience. And someone can tell you a story, but if you see some elements of that experience, you literally experience it yourself. You feel the impact of it when you go visit those places. And for me, just thinking back now to some of those moments, it really is powerful stuff.
Yes.
A lot of the time for me, I think, I mean, look at what's happened in the last 3 decades. And it's literally been 3 decades since we've gained our democracy. For now, some people aren't even aware of what was before. New generations in your 20s, the teenagers aren't aware of that world before, though. Why then is it still so important for us to actually celebrate Freedom Day and commemorate this occasion?
You are so right. There are many young people today who do not know what sacrifices were made in order for us to live wherever we want to go to school wherever we please. Yeah. And I think it is important for us to confront our histories. It is important for young people to learn and understand, but also for the older generation to share the stories that previously were not told or written in the history books. We're such a multifaceted society, and there are so many aspects and facets to our history that people need to become aware of. So one of the ways in which museums attempt to create awareness of that is through research, through education, and through putting together exhibitions that awakens that experience and allow us to reconnect and experience this past. But not just experience the past, because in my opinion, museums are about the future.
Okay, interesting you say that.
So not only are museums about collecting, preserving, and telling the stories of our past, but it also creates opportunities and lessons for our future and for future generations.
I like that, looking at the principle behind it all. Now, I mean, for me, I'm someone that comes from a family, and I'm sure you can possibly relate to this, that has experienced some of what went down 3 decades ago before we gained that democracy. But it's also sometimes a difficult topic to bring up in a conversation. How do you bring up some of the trauma that was experienced? How do you bring that conversation about? And I think, especially now, it is important to have that conversation. But what are some of those ways that you can maybe suggest in terms of having that engagement, having that conversation, and bringing that experience back so that we as youngsters can obviously echo that and bring it into the future, maintaining that principle?
Well, firstly, let me say that Iziko is a Xhosa word meaning hearth.
Okay.
And like the hearth, which is the central component of a home, you know, where people sit, you used to sit in the kitchen around the...
Are you saying hearth?
Hearth,
Not hearth?
Yes,
okay,
hearth.
I don't know what a hearth is.
A hearth is a vuurherd.
Oh, okay.
So it's the
I got
central
you.
place
Yes,
in the
yes,
home,
yes.
you know?
Okay, I got
The
you.
kitchen, the communal spaces
yes.
where often stories are shared, where tradition is passed on from mother to daughter, from father to son, and through the generations. And similarly, Iziko is a space where knowledge is shared at the hearth of our heritage. And so one of the ways, or some of the ways in which to have these conversations is firstly to visit the museum and to have a tangible stepping stone from which to have that conversation. Some of the exhibitions at the Iziko Slave Lodge is about our surnames. So my naam is February. How our surnames came about is one of the ways in which to start that discussion.
Absolutely incredible stuff. And this is powerful indeed, Mzansi. Now, this is maybe us encouraging you right now, especially today on Freedom Day, a day that we are commemorating as well as celebrating. It's your opportunity to go and visit any of these museums. Now, they are free for your entry today. So it's an opportunity for you to learn, to reconnect, and of course, to take with you all these incredible principles with many of us, especially for what our forefathers have fought for. So, Mr. I can't thank you enough, obviously, for being with us today, for being a part of the history of obviously keeping it rife and keeping our education on the utmost when it comes to being important. And for you, I hope you have an incredible Freedom Day too.
Thank you so much. And please come visit the museum soon.
I will be there, Mzansi. That's your call, of course, to go and make the most of today. Go visit those museums and go get yourself educated.